Welcome everyone to this webinar. This is part one of a two-part series that you guys have signed up for and registered to be a part of called Magnetic Marketing for Coaches. And I am that gentleman right there in the green shirt. My name is Sean Smith. I am the Director of Coaching and Training here at Motivating the Masses Incorporated. Many of you are very familiar with Motivating the Masses and Lisa Nichols and Susie Carter and the whole team here. And this webinar is specifically for coaches. Now, if you already have a coaching business, then this will serve you. And if you don't have a coaching business, but you're interested in being a coach, you're a newbie in the coaching world, then this will also hopefully serve you as well. So let's just jump right into it because I have the tendency to just expand on things, and I want to give us as much time as possible for my objectives for this webinar. And again, there's two parts to this webinar. Today we're going to talk a lot about the magnetism piece. How can you be magnetic as a coach? How can you create more confidence, more certainty, all the energy that you really need as a coach from a skill set perspective? And then on part two, we'll talk about the marketing side. See, what happens is most coaches, they want to build a business and they just want to get right to marketing. And yet, if you don't have the confidence and certainty and you don't have that magnetism and you don't know what your core message is and you don't know what people want, if you don't have the foundation of being a solid coach, then marketing is actually the worst thing that you can do in the beginning, because you're not ready to yet. So in part one of this series, we're going to talk about the magnetism side and focus almost entirely on the skill set of coaching. And in this business, you've got to have certainty in three areas. You've got to have certainty, number one, in yourself. And what I mean by that is who you are, what your impact is in the world, what you want your impact to be in the world. And we've also got to look at any of the conflicts that you've got internally. You don't have to be clear of fears and limiting beliefs and internal conflicts in order to be a coach, because if that was the case, there would be no coaches, right? I mean, I would instantly lose my card to be a coach if that was the requirement. But you have to be willing to work on yourself. You have to be in the work. You have to do what I call clear your mirror. Because when your mirror is foggy, when you have all these fears, when you're scared of being judged, when you're scared of criticism, when you're comparing yourself to others, when you're just in that victim kind of state, then people are not going to be able to relate to you the way you want them to relate to you. They're not going to be able to see themselves in you because and trust you, because your mirror is foggy. So you don't have to have cleaned up all this stuff, but you've got to be willing to look at it. You've got to be willing to be transparent. You've got to be willing to be vulnerable. And that doesn't mean that you air all your dirty laundry, but it means you show up as being real. Especially in the coaching world, people need to know that they can trust you. And the way that you can convey that it's okay to trust you is to show up as a real, genuine person. So you've got to have some level of certainty around who you are. Now, again, that doesn't mean you have to have all the questions answered, but you've got to be willing to ask those questions, and you've got to be on that journey. So there's got to be some sense of certainty in yourself. The second is you've got to have certainty in your seeker. Now, I'm going to talk a lot more about this in part two when we get into messaging and marketing. But your seeker is who that person is that you're wanting to help and who's out there that's already seeking you. You've got to have clarity in that, and you've got to have certainty in that so you can speak to them. And then the third one, this is what we're going to focus more on today, even though it feels like, it's kind of going out of order here of what I just listed. But the third one is your solutions. Your solutions is how can you help people? It's what is your skill set? The confidence in your abilities as a coach. And then when we get into actually forming a business, your products, your programs, your services, what are the titles? How are you going to deliver them? Right? You've got to have clarity around how you're going to solve people's challenges. Otherwise, they're not going to invest in you. They're not going to invest in themselves. They're not going to have that trust in order to take that next step forward. So these are the three things that you have to have certainty around to build a coaching business. And before we get into the skill set, let's just talk briefly about what coaching actually is. And what I'd love for you to do is in the question section of your control panel, go ahead and type in what you believe coaching is. And I'll go ahead and talk through it. I might engage some of the comments or at least read them if I think they're pertinent to the discussion. But coaching is not just training. It's not just telling people what to do. It's not just teaching, right? Teaching is really about educating about whatever subject, that you're going to teach on. And coaching is also not therapy, right? It's not helping people identify with their problems just so that they can cope with them. Coaching, the way I understand coaching, is really about a dance. It's about a journey. Jennifer says coaching is about helping the client find the right answer that is already within their heart. I totally agree with that. I love that, Jennifer. Michelle says guiding and supporting others as they uncover who they really are. Great. That's very parallel to what Jennifer had said. Let's see. Adonia says being a conduit to helping others solve their problems and reach their goals, to be a better them. I love that too. So the components of all three of those comments, and feel free to continue commenting, even though I might not, bring them into this discussion. The components is really about being a guide. Coaching is about helping and supporting people to whatever solutions they're looking for. But the key is the solutions are found within them. They're not found inside of our knowledge resource, right? It's not about you solving somebody else's problems for them. It's about you helping them solve their own problems. It's facilitating a self-discovery process. And that could be who somebody actually is, like Michelle said, or it could even be guiding them to a self-discovery of the solutions of what the next steps are in their life, in their relationship, even in their business. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't give answers sometimes, because you absolutely can, and you should when it's appropriate. But the essence of coaching is not really to just impress people with, your knowledge. It's not to hear yourself speak so intelligently about a certain subject. That's not coaching. That's like, that's giving a lecture, right? Coaching is a very tender, it's an intimate relationship with the client where the bottom line is you're trying to help them move through whatever challenges, whatever obstacles they have in their life. And I want to get really clear that it's not about looking at where they're stuck and just staying there, right? It's really about helping them identify the targets so that they can achieve them, right? So that's the essence of coaching. And if you understand the essence of coaching, it'll be a lot easier to do the work, because it's all about having this intention around what is it that you're here to do, right? Now, another form of coaching is what I call, hang on a sec. If you can see my screen, I hit the wrong button and my slides weren't advancing. So another form of coaching that I have stepped into and I now teach other coaches is NLP coaching. Now, many of you are familiar with NLP. It's neuro linguistic programming. And basically, it's just a curriculum of breakthrough tools and technologies and coaching concepts, right? It's all about, the study of human behavior. For my money, it's the most powerful end-to-end curriculum of breakthrough tools. And I say end-to-end, meaning you can focus on things from the past, like challenges, limiting beliefs, emotions, when people are stuck in their own story from the past, you can help them break through that. But it's also fantastic at helping them identify what their drivers are, what their unconscious mind really wants to create in the world, how to set appropriate goals and affirmations and all that stuff going forward. So it's equally as powerful to unlock things from the past and to focus on and attach them, yourself and your clients to goals in the future. So for me, it's the most powerful curriculum out there. I am highly biased because this is how I got into coaching as a client. I had an experience where a gentleman took me outside of a seminar where I had a major breakdown, and he did a process on me, a little guided visualization for about 15 minutes, and he helped me identify what the biggest blocks were at the time in my life, and it just completely changed everything for me. I felt this sense of freedom, and I went home and I was excited to share what I was learning, and I was telling everybody about everything that I was learning, and everyone wanted me to, to share it with them or to fix them on some level. And so I ended up emailing this guy back and saying, whatever you did to me, I need to know what that was. And I don't even care if it's illegal. You have to tell me what that was, because it's the most powerful thing I've ever experienced, and everybody wants me to do it to them, right? So finally he said, it's just this curriculum. It's called NLP, go get certified. And I just went and I followed his directions. If he would have told me, to go become one with the rocks on the beach, I would have done that too. And then I would have, been as committed to the beach rock method as I am to neurolinguistic programming. So it's not the only form of coaching out there. There are other breakthrough tools, but I'm highly biased. And for my money and my experience in the 10 plus years in this coaching industry that I've been in, it's the most powerful because, as I already alluded to, it gives the internal and external focus for our clients. Now, as a coach, it also gives you distinction. When you are a fantastic breakthrough coach, you can speak to challenges, to the internal blocks that a lot of people in your market can't speak to. And you can help them not just understand, but overcome their challenges, right? Because again, you can just tell somebody what to do, but if they have fears around doing the work, if they have internal blocks, if they have limiting beliefs, that's the stuff that's ultimately going to stop people. And if you can't help them through the internal blocks that are actually going to stop them, it's not an intellectual disconnect. It's an emotional challenge. It's an unconscious challenge that stops people. It's their identities, their beliefs, their values, their drivers, and conflicts all over the place internally. That's what's going to stop somebody from succeeding. And overcoming that stuff is what's going to cause somebody to have a breathtaking life, right? So when you can help people with the stuff that actually stops them, instead of just be the coach that teaches them what to do, and then it's up to them to whether they're going to do it or not. When you can help them through their challenges, then you're going to be able to be distinct in your market because you're going to be able to help them create better results than just the intellectual coaches out there. So I'm not, trying to shine a light or paint anybody with a negative brush, but when you can help people do this internal work, you're going to stand out as a coach. So what I want to go through today is this framework that I've developed over this, my journey as a coach. And like I said, I've been doing this for about 10 years. And a couple years ago, I took a look at what I do and how I do it and what the framework is that I follow as I started to teach other coaches. I came up with this Ignite framework. And number one, Ignite is really what I want to have happen to my clients. I want them to ignite the internal fire that they have inside of them. I want them to ignite their possibilities, to ignite their potential, to ultimately ignite their future. And so Ignite has a meaning in itself, but it's also an acronym. And this acronym is a process that you can follow in your coaching discussions, whether we're talking about one-on-one discussions or we're talking about you delivering a seminar or even inside of a product that you might be creating. These are the components that are important for a coaching relationship, whatever the application of that relationship is. And when I talk about coaching, it's not just one-on-one private coaching. I think any of you that have a message that you want to share with the world, whether it's speaking, doing teleseminars, or the actual one-on-one private a phone call coaching or even in-person coaching, you're all coaches in my opinion, because you're helping people change their lives, right? So there's different applications of coaching. But this first step is what I call inquire and identify. At this step, you're just trying to understand their model of the world as much as you can. You're not trying to overcome anything at this point. You're not trying to solve any problems. You're just listening for understanding, because as a coach, you have to understand your client's frame of the world, their model of the world, before you can help them shift it, right? And what I see a lot of coaches do is, as soon as somebody says, I have a fear of talking to people, the coach jumps right in and goes, oh, okay, well, this is the problem. You got to think about this. And until you understand their problem, you can't give them a solution. Don't give them your solution to their problem, because their problem might not be the same way. It might not look the same or feel the same. They might not be holding on to it the same as you hold on to that same problem. So what we tend to do as humans in general is we try to, share our solutions to the problems that we've already solved, but we're doing a huge disservice to people if we just give our solutions to them before truly understanding where they're at. And so in this step of the process, you've got to identify their model of the world as best you can. Understand how they're viewing things, understand their thought process, understand the emotions. And you can understand somebody's view of the world and not agree with them. One of the reasons that coaches don't like to do this also is they think that understanding somebody's view of the world means that they're condoning it, right? So somebody might say, nobody has money and the whole world is full of jerks. A lot of coaches will immediately attack that. You can't call everybody jerks. Not everybody's a jerk. They're doing the best they can, blah, blah, blah. But you don't even know what they're thinking when they say everybody's a jerk. So you've got to have them explain what they mean to you, so that you can hear the language, so you can hear any emotional charge inside their words, so that you can really truly understand how they're viewing things. And then once you understand how they're viewing something, now you can get in and start doing some coaching, right? And this is a great way, inside this first step here, this is a great way to build rapport with people. And rapport is creating a state of trust, not necessarily getting people to like you. It's getting people to trust you and to respond to you. And the best way to do that is to fully understand them to the best of your ability. The second step, the G, is where you get permission and leverage. And this is incredibly important, but most people glaze over this part. They don't understand how important permission and leverage is, so they don't do it. And it doesn't have to take a long time. It's really just asking a simple question. But even if somebody says, I'm having this problem, I'm having this challenge, that doesn't mean that they've given you permission in that moment to help them solve the problem. They're just expressing the problem sometimes. So at this step, you have to clearly ask them if they want help. Do you want some guidance right now? Do I have your permission to coach you right now in this challenge? Now, if they say no to that, your work here is done. Don't try to fight through that resistance. If they say yes to that, then they've given you permission, and now you have some more leverage throughout this interaction to fall back on if you need to. So if you find them resisting, you can go back and say, hey, listen, a little bit ago, you gave me permission. You actually asked me to help you through this problem so that you can have more joy in your marriage. Do you not want that anymore? Now, you can't say that, obviously, if they never gave you specific and explicit permission to coach them. So please don't take this step for granted. And just because somebody gave you permission to coach them last week doesn't mean you have permission this week. And the other thing that this does is it gets people basically hearing themselves commit to a solution right now in this moment. A lot of people like to dance around their challenges. And when you say, do I have permission to coach you right now in this? Sometimes their heart will skip a beat a little bit because a lot of people are not programmed to actually solve problems now. They just want to talk about the problem, right? They want to cope with the problem. They want to label the problem. They want to try to understand the problem. And so when you invite them to do something about it and to find a solution right now, it shifts their brain, it shifts their energy. And just the fact that they tell themselves, yes, I want to do this now, and yes, I give you permission, will put their mind in a problem solving mode rather than just a problem creating mode or problem identifying mode. So it's really powerful for them as well. The N is for new outcomes. Once you understand what they want, once you understand where they're coming from, now it's really important that you understand exactly what they want in their language. So just because somebody says, I have a fear of talking in public, don't assume that they want to be able to go give a speech on stage. Just because that's what you want and that's what you were wanting when you had the fear of public speaking, if that was true for you, that doesn't mean that's what they want. It could be that they just want to be able to speak up at their company staff meetings, right? It could be that they want to lead an organization somehow without, getting all freaked out before they do any talking. And it could be that they want to be a global leader on some level. So don't assume that you know what they want. Ask them clearly what they want. And even if you know what they want, they might language it a little bit differently than you. And if they language it differently than you, it's imperative that you use their words and not your words. And again, this part is simple. You can just ask, what is it that you're wanting? So I hear that you have a fear of public speaking. What is it that you actually want? Now, sometimes they won't know, and you have to prod them a little bit. Maybe you have to give them some ideas. What I'm hearing is that you've got this fear of public speaking. Is it that you want to be able to speak to, a group of 5 people? Do you want to actually be able to do this big seminar? Do you want to be able to do keynotes? Do you want to just be able to think about speaking without getting afraid? I mean, what is it that you're actually wanting? So sometimes you have to give them some ideas to prod them, but don't do that until you've invited them to tell you clearly what it is that they want. And then the other thing that this does is it tells you at the coach what the target is, as the coach, what the target is. So if they say, I want to be able to think about speaking without being fearful, then later on after you do your work, you can have them close their eyes and think about giving a talk and check in and see if they have fear. And if they still have fear, then you know that their target hasn't been achieved. Because a lot of times we take people down these paths that are way beyond what they even want to feel successful, right? I mean, like I've been doing this work for 10 years. I know what's possible in the world of personal development. And a lot of people don't. And so if somebody comes to me and they're, in kindergarten and they just want to go to first grade, but I've seen people in college, like I know what it looks like to be in college in the personal development world. I know what it looks like to for people to get rid of huge blocks that they've been holding on to for literally 40, 50, 60 years. I know what that looks like. But if I take somebody who just wants to take the next step and my intention for them is to take the next 10 steps, because that's what I know is possible, then I'm going to be setting them up for failure. And there's a chance that I'm going to make him or her feel like they didn't get what they came for, and which will in turn affect me because my client's not happy, right? So sometimes we want somebody to go way further than where they want to go in the moment. That doesn't mean that we don't try to take them there. Of course, we try to get them as far as possible, but let's put the target on what's real for them first. And then after you achieve that target, then you can support them to go further, right? But help them identify in as clear language as possible what it is that they want. And it also gives them the ability to know that whatever it is that they were looking for has been accomplished. So for you as the coach to say, a half hour ago, you said you wanted to achieve this. How do you feel like we did? And then if it all lines up and you guys went where they wanted to go, then they're going to have an amazing experience of I got what I came for. And that's what you want to give your clients as often as you possibly can. So that's the new outcomes. The I stands for inner work. This is where the real juice is. This is what lights me up. I am a geek when it comes to the inner work of personal development and specifically coaching. This is where NLP and some of the tools that I've learned in other seminars all along the way has made a tremendous impact on my life personally and my life as a coach. I have so many tools that I've picked up along the way that I can help people move through those internal blocks. This is where you help somebody gain clarity or find answers from within themselves. This is where you help them dissolve any of the conflicts or some of the pain that they're dealing with. Basically, this is removing the obstacles. Now, sometimes the obstacles are intellectual. Sometimes the obstacles are somebody needs to know how to do something. Depending on what line of work you're in, what niche you are coaching in or what you want to coach in, sometimes that inner work really truly is just finding the gaps in their knowledge. So it's let me teach you this plan. Let me teach you how to launch a business, right? Let me teach you how to do a six-figure campaign. Let me teach you how to write a resume properly. Let me teach you some of the conversational, magical words to use in your relationship. So sometimes this inner work does involve the teaching of knowledge, but most of the time it's really about internal conflicts. It's why do we sabotage ourselves? And this is important for all of us. Just earlier today, just a couple hours ago, I was on the phone with my coach, being coached, and we were handling internal work. We were handling some of the stories that I have in my head that are not serving me. And in a very short period of time, she helped me clear those conflicts, helped me design a better game plan, and my energy completely shifted. She didn't give me any knowledge that I don't currently have. In fact, she didn't give me any knowledge that, for the most part, I don't teach my own clients. But she helped me see the internal work, the internal conflicts that were getting in my way because we can't solve our own problems. We can't solve a problem with the same mind that created the problem because all of our solutions are in our blind spot. That's the value of coaching. So even if you are a coach, you could be a masterful coach. You still need your own coaches, right? I always say you can be the best dentist in the world. You still need to sit in somebody else's chair to get your teeth cleaned because you can't see in between the crevices, or you can't do that work on yourself. Same thing goes for coaching. So even though most people have a lot of the answers intellectually, we're all holding ourselves back internally. So the internal work is the meat of breakthrough coaching. That's where you can really help people get out of their own way and have some of the emotional breakthroughs that we all need in order to take our lives or our businesses or our relationships or our physical bodies to the next level. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the internal work later, and we'll do a couple exercises here on a webinar. I've never done this before, but I taught a version of this webinar at a live event about 2.5 weeks ago. And many of you weren't able to attend that, and that's why you're getting as much as you can on a webinar. And we went much deeper into some of the coaching exercises and stuff like that. So I'm going to attempt. We're gonna do a couple coaching exercises actually on this webinar, and we'll see how that goes inside the internal work, and then we'll go a little bit deeper into that. After you've done whatever work that you're going to do, the next step, the letter T, is to test and tweak. So after you do whatever changes, you've got to test them out, especially the internal stuff, especially when you're helping people get rid of their pains or fear or get more confidence. You got to test it out. How does it feel? I once had a woman in a seminar who said that she had this fear of public speaking. So we did this internal work. I helped coach her through it. And then I brought her up on stage and I said, give a talk. And I let her talk for about 3 minutes and she felt fantastic. So in that moment, she was able to test the work that we did and it passed. You can't always do that. Sometimes you have to just have people imagine the situation that you're working on, or sometimes they have to check back in with you. Sometimes I tell my clients, I want you to email or text me later tonight and let me know how you feel when your husband comes home. If there's some kind of emotional projection that's going on. So sometimes you have to wait a little bit. It's a little bit delayed, but as quickly as you can, you want them to test it out to see if it's working and then tweak whatever needs to be tweaked. Coaching is really about this fluid journey. It's not about memorizing rules or doing one thing that's going to solve all of somebody's problems and have them never come back. It's this fluid journey. And then finally in the Ignite framework is empower them to succeed. This is where you help people put into place what's going to support them after they're done with the relationship with you, whether it's a seminar that you're delivering or whether they're done with your product or they're done with the coaching call or whatever. You've got to help them empower themselves to succeed. So sometimes that means teaching them how to do affirmations. Sometimes it means giving them the exercise of doing a goal poster. Sometimes it means calling somebody up and having a crucial conversation with them. Sometimes it means doing some research on the internet. Sometimes it means getting an accountability partner or putting some post up on Facebook that commits them financially to doing some kind of goal. Maybe it's getting into a mastermind group, right? It's something that they have to do outside of their phone call or interaction with you that's going to help them succeed going forward. I like to give my clients a lot of self-coaching tools. That's really important for me to give them the awareness of, okay, this is what happens when I fall off the path, and this is how I can get back on it, right? So whatever that looks like that's specific to the conversation you're having, you've got to empower them to succeed. So this is the Ignite framework. I teach this course. I teach this framework in a way that can be used in a multi-day seminar, or it can be used in a 5-minute conversation. If you understand the framework, you can condense it to a short period of time, or you can expand it to a much longer period of time. But this is the essence of coaching, really, is this Ignite framework. So I talked a little bit about rapport. We're not able to really do a rapport exercise. When I teach this content, when I do my certifications, I have people do live exercises where you're one-on-one, face-to-face with somebody, and you can energetically step into a place of rapport. But I didn't want to gloss over it either or forget about it on this webinar because it's such a gigantic piece of coaching. So with rapport, you want to notice two things. You want to notice your experience and you want to notice their experience. And you want to do those without judging. So when somebody is talking to you and they start getting emotional, let's say, don't judge that they just became afraid of something. Don't judge that they just became angry or that they're now in this, victim state of pain. Or if they start to smile, don't necessarily judge that they're happy or they're excited. I mean, a lot of times people smile to mask their discomfort, to mask their awkwardness. So the essence of coaching is noticing without judgment. And like, for instance, if somebody smiles, or this is what I do a lot, if somebody starts to cry, I'll go, what's this emotion that just came up for you? I don't label it with my own judgment and say, oh, this is really painful for you, huh? Because it might not be painful. Sometimes tears are for positive emotions and sometimes negative emotions, and vice versa. Almost every physical movement that we have could be positive or negative. So don't judge it from your perspective. Notice it and explore it. That's the key when we're creating rapport. The best thing you can do as a coach is be curious. Your curiosity will help them untie some of the knots that they've tied. Your curiosity will help them trust you. Your curiosity will help you identify them and build a bond that is unshakable inside this coaching experience they have with you. So, your curiosity is the most important piece. And finally, coaching is really about being there. It's really about being present with somebody. And on one level, that means not checking emails, uh, sending text messages while you're coaching people. It means making sure you're in an environment that's conducive to you coaching, that you're not coaching people, at the grocery store or at the car wash. And some of these things sound ridiculous, but these are some of the things that coaches do, right? They try to multitask. And that's not conducive to you showing up for your client and really being present with them. So, you being there is the best thing you can do for your client. So that's rapport. Now that you understand, the concept of it, I want you to practice it. Not right now on the webinar. We just don't have the time and space for it. But I want you to practice it. I want you to practice noticing your own judgments. I want you to practice noticing other people's movements. I want you to practice noticing when their face, twitches, when they move their neck around and it feels like it seems like they might be getting uncomfortable. They might just want to be trying to move their body, right? Notice when the emotion comes up inside of them, and notice anything that's happening inside of you as well. So that's the best way to create this connection with another human being, and that's how you got to show up as a transformational coach. Now I want to teach you a very, very simple process. And this kind of goes into two categories. This can be inside the inquire and identify part, or it can be inside the inner work section. It's probably more aligned with the inner work, but sometimes you want to do it at the very beginning of a coaching call because people are just in this, in this negative state. So what I'd love to do is I want to try doing this right now on the webinar with somebody. So this is a simple anchoring process. And what I want to do is I want any of you that are willing to play along with me, I want you to raise your hand inside the dashboard. And I'll go ahead and unmute your line and we'll do a little anchoring process here. And what anchoring is it's I think I'm going to lose. Okay, great. What anchoring is creating an intentional state of mind. So if any of you are currently, experiencing some kind of negative emotion, or I mean, we all have access to our negative emotions of fear or uncertainty or any of that sort of stuff. So whether it's right now in the present moment as we speak, or it's a state of mind that you tend to get into and you want a little bit of help right now in creating a different state of mind, then go ahead and raise your hand. All right, so I am going to pick the first hand that I saw up, and that is Michelle Moore. So I'm going to unmute your line. Okay, Michelle, you are now unmuted, my friend. How are you? I am not hearing you. So I don't know if you're on your phone or if you're speaking into your computer. I can hear that the line is open, like I can hear the little soft noise on my end, but I'm not hearing anything that you're saying. So so you say you're on your computer. So there might be some kind of audio challenge with your computer. So let me grab somebody else unless you can try to figure that out. And if not, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and continue to engage here. So let me see. Let's try Kim Becker. Just unmuted you, Kim. Can you say something?
I'm here, Sean.
Excellent. All right, great. So we can hear you. Thank you for volunteering. And you don't really have any idea what we're going to do. I mean, I gave you a little bit of an idea, but thank you for volunteering in the spirit of let's just do it, right? So what I
Mm-hmm.
want to know, Kim, is what's a negative state of mind that you're either in currently or you get into from time to time that you would like to change?
Getting into what I call computer lock, where there's so many things I know I could be doing, but instead just sit in a stupor.
Sit in a stupor. Okay, I'm hearing a really awkward feedback coming from. Are you on with two different accounts? I actually see you showing up twice. Okay, now one of them just went away.
I
So
shut one
maybe.
off. Yep.
Okay,
Is
great.
that better?
Yeah, perfect. It
Okay.
was like looping inside of
Okay.
one and the other. So thank you for doing that. So this, did you say computer stupor?
I get into computer lock. You know when your
Computer
computer's in
lock.
a jam and it just spins uncontrollably and it
Got
does
it.
nothing?
Spins uncontrollably and does nothing. Okay, great. I think a lot of us can relate to that. So excellent. I get it. And what if you had the ability to snap your fingers or flick a button or something, what would you rather experience instead in those moments besides the computer lock?
Action.
Action. Okay.
Instead of just thinking about it, being able to just do it. Where I think it's maybe me making my to-do list too much, too long.
And you're
Um,
paralyzing yourself probably.
exactly.
Okay. So then what's the state of mind that you would have to be in order to get into motion and just do it? Because that's the action you want to do, but what's the state of mind that you need to be able to do that?
Uh,
Like what feelings would
just
you have to be having?
really positive
Okay.
that all of it is possible to get done and um, just a real balance between family and work. I think that sometimes too gets in my way of, okay, I should be doing this for my family, but I really need to do this for my work, for my career.
Okay, great. So you want to be in this more positive outlook where you feel like how can you describe what you like what you're telling yourself when you're in that positive place where you feel a little bit more balanced? What is it that's causing you to get into action? Like what is it about that state of mind where it propels you into action?
Having the phone ring is really great, not just on my end. So getting more customers, of course, is going to help that. I've been having that happen more recently, so I have had that more positive attitude and outlook on my business.
Okay. And what is it like there's a specific thought or there's a
Mm-hmm.
specific belief
Mm-hmm.
that you're holding on to when you're in that positive place that allows you to make the calls and reach out to people, and when you're not in that positive place
Mm-hmm.
you don't have that belief. So for instance, if you're in a negative spot, the belief and the thought might be nobody wants to hear what I have to say. And
Right.
when you're inside that belief, you're probably not going to pick up the phone or do anything, right? Then it's easy to just alphabetize your to-do lists, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
what's the opposite belief of that that allows you to get in emotion?
That nobody wants to hear from me. That nobody wants to try my product or hear what I have to say.
Okay, so what's the opposite of that? Because that's when you're in that negative
Okay.
space. So when you're in that
Right. Right.
positive
Okay.
space,
Positive. People are excited about sharing the opportunity, sharing the product, seeing me hanging out, things like that.
okay. So people are excited. We'll just lump it
Mm-hmm.
under that, right?
Right.
People are
Mm-hmm.
excited, and when people are excited, you're excited too. It sounds like.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
great. Because I could hear it, just the energy in your voice changed.
Hmm.
when
And I'm smiling now too.
people are excited. Right. Your body can't mask your emotion.
Great.
So people are excited. All right. So what I want you to do, Kim, is I want you to close your eyes if you can. I mean, I know you can, but like, don't do it if you're in a place where it wouldn't be safe. So close your eyes, and I want you to think back to the most recent time when you remember being in that state of mind where you know that people are excited. They want to hear what you're up to. They want to hear about your products, and it causes you to be excited. So, can you remember a time where there was just excitement all around?
Yes.
Great. And I want you to focus on that feeling of excitement in your body. Can you feel that excitement internally?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, as you feel that excitement, I want you to tell me what's the very first image that pops up in your mind? Some visual image that represents this excitement.
Well, everybody sitting around smiling and laughing and having a good time.
Okay, everybody, like 7 billion people on the planet, or a
Well, that would
small,
be lovely.
that would be nice, right? Or
A
a
little bit more
handful of people,
intimate.
or what?
Sorry, what was that?
Like, explain everybody to me. What does that mean? Does that mean a handful of people in front of you, or are there specific people that you're thinking of?
The last event that I had, it was a skincare class with 4 ladies, and they were just all laughing, giggling, having a great time, trying on products.
Awesome. Okay, so can you imagine one of their faces?
Hmm.
Perfect. And they're smiling, or this particular woman is smiling, giggling, trying stuff out. Correct?
Yes.
Excellent. So if there was a phrase, and it could be something that we've already talked about, if there was a phrase that represents this feeling of excitement or the thoughts that you have, what would that phrase be? It could be a single word or a few words.
Joy.
Joy. Awesome. All right. So what I want you to do next time, Kim, that you feel yourself in that computer lock space that you said, is I want you to intentionally remember that lady's face,
Hmm.
remember the energy in the room, remember the smiling, and I want you to say to yourself, joy. And what it'll do is it'll put you in this excited state of mind. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And from that excited state of mind, just give yourself permission to take action, and then you'll go
Okay.
through it, right?
Sounds good.
Simple, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I'm going to explain this a little bit more, but thank you for doing that with us, Kim. I appreciate it. I'm going to
Okay,
mute your
thanks.
line again. Yeah. So what we did with Kim, I just want to show you the steps we took. The steps are basically identify whatever the emotion is that she wants instead of where she is right now, and have her remember a time that she was inside that emotion and what's the first image that comes to mind. And then finally, what word or phrase comes to mind. And then the next time she wants that emotion or she wants that state of mind, she just remembers the thing and says the word. Like, it doesn't have to be rocket science. We tend to make our life super complicated, but I want to simplify things for my clients, and I want to simplify things for you as you're coaching to give you tools that are much easier than what most people experience, right? So this is a simple way to anchor somebody into a state of mind. And please don't mistake how simple it is for how powerful it can be, right? So that's pretty much it. And then you just test it. So, Kim, I want you to contact me, send me an email the next time you find yourself going to that computer lock, and then remember the lady's face, say the word joy out loud, and notice how your body transforms, and then just email me and let me know how that goes. So this is a really simple way to change somebody's state, right? All right, I want to teach one more simple exercise, and this has a different feel to it, and this is more dealing with somebody's emotion, okay? So let's see if there's somebody else. I'm gonna put all the hands down. So let's see if there's somebody else that would like to go through a quick exercise um, with me again. And this is in the spirit of just helping people understand, how we can release some emotions, release the hold that they have on you. So if there's anyone that wants to clear something with us right now and go through this with me, then let's do it. Okay, awesome. Keisha Wright, I just unmuted your line. So can you say something to make sure we can hear you? All right, Keisha, so I'm not hearing you, and I've got this interesting little gray mute button on your next to your name, like maybe your side is muted. So you're unmuted from my side. See if there's a mute button that you might have clicked on your side in the control panel.
Hear me?
Oh, there you go. Great. It just went away. Nice. I can hear you. Thank
Oh,
you for volunteering.
okay.
How are you today?
Well, how are you?
Fantastic. I'm excited. I love this
So am
stuff.
I.
Nice. I love this stuff. So tell us, what's an emotion, especially I want you to come up with an emotion right now that's real for you and present for you right now. And it doesn't have to be, like you're deep in it, but just what's some emotion that you're experiencing right now that you'd like to move through, that you'd like to release?
Um, One of my main emotions, I don't know why, um, I get nervous. A nervous emotion that what I say is not good enough or I'm being judged on what I'm saying. Just, I guess the negative confidence, not having the confidence. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. So nervousness around being judged, that's awesome. Because so many of
Mm-hmm.
us go through that. So I appreciate you um, just being vulnerable and also having something that everybody can relate to. All right,
Okay.
perfect. So what I want you to do, Keisha, and I'm saying your name right, Keisha?
Yes.
Awesome. So I want you to feel that emotion as best you can. Like, are you present to that emotion right now in this moment?
Mm, a little bit.
So when
Not
was the
as much
last
as I
time you can
usually do.
remember being present to that
Feeling that
emotion?
feeling the negative emotion
Yeah.
as far as
Hmm.
yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yesterday on a call I had to make and I had to speak with a group of people and I I stumbled all over my words. I couldn't get my thoughts together and to where the young lady that asked me to even do it, she called me back later and she was like, Keisha, what's wrong with you? You know what you're doing. What's wrong with you? And I really need to learn how to push past that.
Perfect. Awesome. So as you were just even talking through it right
Hmm.
now, can you feel that energy showing up in your body even a little bit more because you kind of gave it some power and sort of invited it back
Yes.
into your space?
Yes.
So where does it show up in your body? Is it in your heart? Is it in your gut? Is it in your mind? Where is it in your actual body?
It just feels my midsection, like more so my stomach,
Okay.
the the butterflies in my stomach.
You got butterflies in your stomach. Excellent. So I want to focus on that energy that you've got going on in your stomach and
Hmm.
tell me about it. Does it have a color?
Hmm. Does it have color? I don't know. I never thought about it a color. I can't say that it does. I'm not relating really to a
Okay.
color.
And Keisha, is there any way? Can you check to see if there's a way to increase your volume? I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing you. I
Yeah,
can
I don't.
still hear
Is
you,
that
but
better? I'm putting my mouth more to it. I had a fit getting on here today, so I'm moving as fast as quick as I can. Is that better?
It's basically about the same. I mean, I think I can hear you, and hopefully everybody can hear you too. I mean, I know I can hear you. It's just a little bit low, but that's
Okay.
okay. So this energy. So go back to that energy in your belly area. What shape does it have?
Hmm. I guess a square shape. It would be more square than just
Oh,
completely.
now I'm not able to hear you at all. Like I can tell you're trying to talk because you're really muffled though.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Okay, that's better. Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me?
So what shape does it have?
A square shape.
Now you're back to where I can barely hear you again.
I don't know what I'm doing, Sean.
Okay, what you just said, whatever you just said, or whatever you just did when you said I don't know what I'm doing, is perfect. I heard that clear.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you. So
Okay.
what shape
Okay.
does the emotion have?
I would say a square shape because it's not. Let's say a triangle because it's like it's not all together. It's like a piece is missing or something.
Got it. Okay. And are they moving at all, or are all those pieces in triangle form just sitting there?
Just sitting.
Okay. Are they warmer or cooler than the rest of your body?
Warm
Warmer. Okay.
because I get when I get nervous, I get like hot. I they get warm.
Okay. Excellent. And what kind of texture do these pieces have? Like, are they smooth or are they rough around the edges?
Definitely rough.
Okay. And is there any sound associated to them, or are they silent?
Hmm. Probably sound because then that's when all the thoughts come up of questioning myself.
Okay. So the sounds, are they kind of like voices then, or is there some other
Mm,
noise?
just I guess the negative voices, the negative questioning. So yeah, I guess it would be voices.
Okay, so the negative voices are the sound. Okay.
Hmm.
Does it feel heavier or lighter than the rest of your body?
Heavy,
All right. And let me check in again. What color do they feel like they are?
probably blue,
Blue, like dark blue or light blue?
dark.
Dark blue. Okay, excellent. Is there anything else around this emotion that you can, not around it, like physically around it, but anything else about it that you can describe for us?
Anything else around this emotion? I guess I would say words of fear. A word would be fear,
Okay,
doubt. Those two words would ring more so fear and doubt.
fear and doubt. Excellent. All right. So you can get a pretty clear image of what this emotion looks like inside your body, correct?
Yes.
And how big is it? You said in your belly. Is it like a small triangle, or does it go from one side of your body to the other side?
Mm, it's like in the middle. I guess a medium size. It's like right in my gut.
Medium size. Okay,
So
right in the gut.
it kind of sits there. It's not a moving. It just sits right in my gut.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And so I want you to focus on this emotion, this
Okay.
energy that is showing up as these triangular form of little pieces, a little bit warmer, got some rough, some roughness to it, feels a little heavier, this dark blue energy. And if it had a voice, what would it say?
Mm, you're not sure of yourself.
Okay.
You're not sure, or you're not confident. I just lacking the confidence.
Okay. What else would it say?
Mm, those are the main things, Sean, that just stick with me is speaking the doubt or the
Okay.
fear of or just not being sure of what I'm saying or what are people thinking. That's the one thing. What are people thinking? What are they thinking when I speak? What is someone
Awesome.
thinking when you're speaking?
Okay. What are people thinking? Yeah, that's definitely an unnerving question. What are they
Mm-hmm.
thinking? Okay. Anything else? If this emotion had a voice that it would say, does that feel complete?
Mm, let's see. What are they thinking? And I guess that would pretty much sum it up because
Okay.
yeah, that would pretty much sum it up. Like um,
Perfect.
who does she think she is? Who, or now that you're saying that, you're asking me, giving me some time to think about it. I can think of a few things. What is she talking about? Um, and even though to me, I know what I'm saying, but just like I said, just being confident to say it and convey it. So it's just a lot of doubt, just a big question mark.
Ah, big
What
question
am I
mark.
saying? Is what I'm saying being accepted, or is it received? Am I being judged by what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So as you're inside this energy and it's causing you to be asking these kinds of doubtful, worry-based questions,
Hmm.
it lights you up in a negative way, right? And it causes you to not really speak your truth. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
I'm hearing. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The other thing is you're wording this is it sounds like it's an external voice, like speaking to you. You didn't ever use the word I. You use the word
Mm.
you and she, right?
Mm.
What is she? Who does she think she is, or what is she talking about? And
Mm-hmm.
and you're not confident, you're not sure. So there's this essence of somebody else. It's like somebody else is attacking you, with these
Mm.
words. It's somebody else's voice to you. So now, Keisha, I want you to embrace all of that that's happening, and I want to speak directly to your heart. What is it that you know is true?
About me or just
What do you
in
know is
general or
true inside that conversation about you're not confident, you're not sure, what are they thinking? Are they judging you? What does your heart know to be true?
what is it my heart knows to be true? Um, hmm. In what way, Sean? I mean, in something like in in the negative thoughts as
Yeah,
far as
about
like
these questions. So you're asking yourself these questions, and I want to know what the answer is. What does your heart know to be true about the answers?
that if I'm speaking, I do know what I'm talking about. Um,
What else?
I am a confident person to where what do I know to be true? That I am confident, that I know what I'm talking about, that I'm doing what I'm called to do.
Mm.
Is that the answer that you're looking for? I guess
I'm
I'm
not looking
trying to
for
remember what
anything other than what's real for you. So it's
what's real
perfect.
for me. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what's real for me?
Perfect.
Okay, what's real for me is that I am confident, that I believe in myself. I know that I can do anything that I put my mind to, and I guess I just have to practice doing more of it until I get over these emotions that are trying to hold me back.
Awesome. So as you think about and hear yourself say, I do know what I'm talking about. I am confident. I'm doing what I'm
Hmm.
called to do. I believe in myself. Excuse me. I know
Mhm.
I can do anything I put my mind to.
Mhm.
How does that feel internally inside your body?
It feels good.
Yeah?
It feels much better than the other stuff.
Then the
It
other
feels.
one, right.
It just reaffirms me. It
Awesome.
affirms what I know to be true about myself.
There you go. What's the color of that energy?
Red.
Nice. And is that warmer or cooler than the rest of your body, that red energy?
It's comfortable. It's a comfort. It's comforting.
Okay,
It's
excellent. And what shape is that energy?
a complete circle
And where is it in your body?
in my heart.
Mm,
I think in my heart, just in me, in my mind, just in my mind, I guess that circle just in my mind, it's just complete.
beautiful. Are there any
It makes
sounds
no
associated to
sound.
that circle?
Music.
Nice. Is there anything else about that energy that you notice descriptive?
Anything else? Just comfort, peace. I have a smile on my face.
Nice.
Um, my eyes light up because it's like that really is me, and just the emotion of just knowing that, Keisha, you can do this. This is you. This is it. And stop giving over to that other stuff and stay right here.
Mm,
Just right. This is it.
stay right here. Awesome. So as you're in this space, Keisha, plugged
Yeah.
into the red energy, is that other dark blue stuff even there? Or has it moved? Is it gotten bigger, smaller? What?
Um, I think it's still trying to stay there, but I'm giving more energy to what I'm talking about now
Perfect.
than that.
Perfect. So going forward, you really just have two choices. It's like having two channels on a TV. If you
Yeah.
don't like one of the channels, guess what you can do?
Change it.
Watch the other one. Change
Yeah.
it, right? So now you have two distinct channels. And it's interesting
Yeah.
how opposite they are, right?
Mhm.
One's this triangular shape with a bunch of pieces, and one's a complete circle. One's blue and the other's red. The other one has
Yeah.
this comfortable temperature, and the other one feels a lot warmer. So going forward, in any given moment, you really just have the ability to choose which one of these you're going to light up.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
But the only way you could light up that red energy is if you heard what was inside the other emotion. Because as long as you're stuck in, I have this fear, I don't want people to judge me. As long as that's this vague energy that's just grabbing you, there's nothing you could do about it, right? We've got to provide this tangible feature to or essence to our emotions so that we can do something with them. Because we can't just take a look at a vague, nebulous emotion that we're stuck in and go, oh, I want to just be happy. Let me just change that to happy. You can't do that. You've got to have a way to change your emotions. So, what you just walked through with us is a way to really hearing what's inside the emotion and then
Okay.
doing a couple things, putting words to it, but then also basically calling BS on it, right? Because when I asked you
Yeah.
what you know to be true, you know the opposite of what all those little voices were saying.
Yeah.
You know that in your heart that that's the truth. So it's really about calling forward what you know to be true instead of listening to all the doubts inside your head, right?
Oh, that makes
So,
sense.
yeah, so thank you. I'm going to debrief this real quick, but thank you for allowing us to go through that with you, Keisha. I appreciate it.
And thank you for choosing me because I needed that. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, cool. So let's just debrief the steps on this. This is one of the simplest things that we can do that can have the biggest impact on people is dealing with their emotions because most people are dealing with fear. they're dealing with uncertainty, they're dealing with what Keisha said, what are people thinking? And we have to challenge those negative emotions. Most people's emotions hold them hostage because they never challenge them. And the first thing we got to do with the emotion is give it a voice. That's why I call this exercise voicing the emotion. So what we do is we describe it, and we usually call that VAK. VAK stands for visual, auditory, kinesthetic. And you just curiously ask the person to describe the emotion. What does it look like? What kind of shape? What kind of color? Um, it, Auditory, does it have any kind of sound to it? Kinesthetic, is it warmer or cooler, heavier or lighter? You just want to describe the emotion. The questions that I just asked Keisha are usually the questions that I ask. You don't necessarily have to say those exact ones. You can just say a few of those, or you can add a few more on the end. But what we want to do is we want to describe the emotion so that they detach from it, right? And it was really cool how Keisha's words were second person language. It wasn't that I'm afraid. It wasn't that, what are they thinking about me? It's you're not sure of yourself. You are not confident. So what that means is this emotion is not a part of her. This emotion is separate from her. And all of our emotions are separate from us. It's not who we are. It's something that we're holding on to in the moment. So when we describe the emotion, it separates the emotion from us, from who we actually are, because we see that there's this foreign entity really inside of our body. And it'll show up as some kind of shape, right? A triangle, a block, a big circle, whatever it is, it'll show up as a shape. And when people can disengage and detach from that shape, then they can do something with it. You can't do anything with an emotion when it's consuming you. When you're saying, I am angry, if you're identifying with this emotion called angry, then you can't do anything about it. But if you realize there's this energy that's sitting right here inside my gut, and it looks like this and it has this color, now you can do something with it because it's not a piece of you. So helping people detach from their emotions like this is one of the most powerful things you can do. And then it also helps them realize when it's gone. So for Keisha to be able to say, wow, this energy, the red energy is so much bigger when I'm plugging into that. So the blue energy is still there. It's still wanting to come out, but it's being overcome by the red energy. That's awesome. Now the client has some tangible way to feel that something just shifted. And I also gave her a couple self-coaching tools going forward, right? So now you can tell the difference between these two energies. And I didn't try to get rid of these thoughts of what are they thinking and you're not sure of yourself, because I think those are natural thoughts. And really, we don't have to get rid of those thoughts. We just have to plug into better thoughts. We just have to plug into something that overrides those, and that will be, it'll mute those negative feelings and the negative images that we have, because we're plugged into something bigger and something better. So that's another really powerful coaching tool that I wanted to share with you. And just to finish the debrief here, I said, if it had a voice, what would it say? Just get them to voice the emotion. And then finally, what do you know is true in your heart? What do you know is true? So I wanted to give you a couple inner work exercises that you can take and use right away. And I also want to tell you some of the other inner work exercises that we have at our disposal to use inside of this NLP coaching. I do a certification program. I'll tell you about that in a moment. And these are some of the other things that we work on. We do deeper forms of anchoring. So we stack anchors on top of each other where you can combine, the feelings of happiness and excitement and curiosity all on top of each other so that it's swirling around in this positive storm of emotions. We can collapse anchors. So we can take some connection that you already have, a trigger. When you see this thing, you think of this negative emotion, and we can collapse that. So we disengage that anchor. We can chain anchors together to where you think of one state, and then it leads you to another state, and then it leads you to another state, and then it finally leads you to a fourth, desired state. So there's a lot of really cool things we can do with your mental state. We talk about metaphor mastery. Metaphors are the best way to coach people, but you've got to be intentional with creating a metaphor and delivering a metaphor in a way that the client gets the message of the metaphor, right? Even if they're not in the story, you can tell a story or use a metaphor inside their life that can cause them to get the message in a way that they wouldn't get otherwise. I mean, storytelling is so powerful, and people engage in stories and metaphors. So when you can deliver a coaching message inside of a metaphor, it's pure brilliance. There's a process called expanded awareness, and that helps people find the solutions inside their mind and inside their body that they currently can't find, right? It's hidden. It's a beautiful process to help people find and discover their internal answers. Reframing is a process where you take really the meaning behind certain events in your life and you change the meaning to a way that it supports you better. And what it does, it removes all these internal conflicts that people have, either from their past or going forward in the moment. We do a process on eliminating guilt and shame. Those are two nasty, nasty emotions that people have in their life. And so we've got a specific, it's really a step-by-step process to help people eliminate those two emotions. We do values work, which is a way to create fulfillment intentionally for people. We have a exercise called the painful thought reframe. So if somebody's really stuck inside of a painful thought, it can change that for them. When my dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, I did this process with a coach. She walked me through this painful thought reframe, and I took this painful thought of my dad's going to die from cancer to, I don't remember the exact words of the thought in the moment, but it caused me to completely shift my energy and realize that I'm, I have my dad right here, and we can, we're actually more connected than we ever were. And it just gave me such a peaceful, calming feeling, where the other one was the exact opposite. So that's a super powerful exercise. We do environments work where we help people create the recipes for joy and happiness in their life, in the internal environments and external environments. We also work on timeline therapy. This is really the core of belief work. When you can understand how to work with people's timeline in their life, you can help them shift any challenge they have internally at all. Whether we're talking about deep seated, incredibly painful experiences they had in childhood, like abuse or rape, or any of those really nasty experiences that people have gone through, you can help them shift all of that really quickly, quite often actually. Or it could just be going forward. When things happen and people are judging or whatever, you can use the timeline process going forward. So it's the core. It's my absolute favorite piece of internal work. You'll use it all the time, this idea of timeline therapy. And that could be, a specific exercise you walk people through. I think I mentioned earlier this 15-minute guided visualization that the coach walked me through. That's what he walked me through. He walked me through a version of timeline therapy, and it changed my entire life in 15 minutes. I mean, he didn't solve all my problems, because we all have more problems that are going to step in line, but he changed my entire life and how I view myself and how I view the world in 15 minutes. So I am a huge, huge fan of timeline therapy. We have another exercise called releasing emotional pain. It's a 5-step process that's similar in outcome to some of these other exercises. We got a really cool exercise that's specific to neurolinguistic programming called parts integration. And it helps people remove any internal conflicts they have. Like, a part of me wants to do this, but another part of me wants to do that. And this coaching process is just incredible when it allows people to identify the conflict and then come to a resolution that feels good for them so that they can move forward. We do a lot of what's called strategy scrambling for people, and that's when we take a look at the habits that they have, whether it's internal emotional habits or physical habits, activity-based habits, and we scramble their strategy to give them something better. The coaching work that I went through earlier today that I alluded to had some strategy scrambling components to it. Very, very powerful. There's an exercise called superconductivity, and that's where you help people activate and access their inner wisdom and solutions that they need to hear inside of them to help them keep moving forward. And remember, coaching, if you remember the discussion we had earlier, coaching is really about guiding people to the answers. It's not about giving them the answers, right? So that's called superconductivity. And another internal work that we do is something called swish patterns. This is pretty exclusive to neurolinguistic programming. It's where we can do some of the quick work inside of our brains to change our states of mind and emotion. There's a model called the fast phobia cure, or the fast phobia model, where it can help people quickly erase phobias that they have, whether it's fear of flying or speaking or spiders, things like that. And then finally, we do a lot of what we call sleight of mouth. And that's just linguistic magic, right? It's the things that you say, it's the way that you turn people's words around on them. You expose the conflict inside their own words. It's not necessarily a step-by-step process or exercise, but it's the power of using your language in a magical, transformative way. And there's a lot of that woven through all of what we're talking about, and when we go much deeper. So we're going to stop. I'm going to talk about a little bit about this certification that I have that I'm going to invite you guys to. But before we do, or as we do that, I want to hear what the value of today so far was for you. So you can just type in, if you wouldn't mind, in the question section, just type in some of the value that you got out of today. My intention for this webinar, part one, is really you understand the power of having confidence as a coach. And you have at least 2 tools now that you can use today if you want, with yourself, but hopefully with other people, that can help shift their emotions around and help shift their energy. Because if you don't have that confidence in your skill set as a coach, it's going to be impossible for you to build a business, right? Especially, a coaching business, a traditional coaching business. So as you share some of the value, I'm going to go ahead and move forward. In this industry, I'm going to speak specifically to building a coaching business. In this industry, you can absolutely create an incredibly lucrative coaching business, and it can be fulfilling. You can create your own schedule. You can charge as much as you want. Coaches can charge $50 an hour, which in the normal world is a huge hourly wage. Coaches can charge several $100s an hour. My coach charges $2,500 an hour, and I happily paid it. I paid it with so much joy because the value I got back is way more than $2,500, right? My current coaching rate is $1,250 an hour. And I'm not saying that to impress anybody. I'm just saying you can really truly charge whatever you want, depending on the value that you bring, depending on the niche. What are you teaching people? This is a business where you can write your own ticket as long as you understand it and you solve for some of the challenges. And ultimately, you can make a much bigger impact on the world when you help people through, whatever challenges they're going through. And that's really Kelly's story. Kelly says that she was able to quickly grow in confidence, that she could help people find their aha moments. It says moments sand, but moments, and help them move beyond their fears that were holding them back, and hearing their self-talk become positive, watching their goals become hit, and seeing all their transformations. She says just has been an amazing experience, and she says that she is fully addicted. Pooja has a story. She said, number one, she doubled her income inside her coaching and training business. She spoke in front of tons of people, did all kinds of keynote talks. But what I love about her story is really the fulfillment piece. She says, I had the time freedom to take a 15-day vacation, and she had the courage to overcome a lot of her fears. Specifically for her, it was bungee jumping and skydiving, because she created this space where she could play. She created this space where she could be free and continue working on herself. But what she says is what she cherishes the most is becoming a better parent, becoming a better wife, becoming a better daughter in the process, and really living a life of joy and peace. So I am obviously completely biased to the coaching industry. I think coaching is what the world needs. And I'm a snob when it comes to coaching. I'm a geek when it comes to coaching. And I also know what doesn't work for coaches, right? So all of that is possible, but the reality is most coaches don't make a living at all in doing their work. And it's because they don't have confidence in their coaching abilities. They skip too fast into the marketing side, and they don't really study the skills. They don't really create that confidence that will be magnetic for them. They don't have certainty in the results that they can produce in people, right? They don't have the tools, they don't have the exercises, they don't have the framework to use with clients. And so there's uncertainty. And if there's uncertainty, it'll get transferred. It'll get transferred to your clients. They don't have a clear framework to follow. What do you actually do inside your coaching program in general, but inside of a single conversation? What is it that you actually do? And coaches really need mastery on all levels. I think, unfortunately, because this industry doesn't have a unified body that says this is what you have to study and this is what you have to prove that you're able to do before you have the permission to become a coach. A lot of people just hang their hat out there and say, I'm a coach, but they don't master coaching, and it gives the industry somewhat of a bad name, and it gives people a negative experience, right? I mean, I really hope we can move to the point where there's there are a certain level of requirements that people need to demonstrate mastery around before they're able to call themselves a coach. Now, I don't know if we'll ever be able to get there, because the coaching industry it's just fragmented. But when you don't have that certification, you don't have the foundational integrity, and you don't have the emotional magnetism in your certainty and in your confidence to be a coach. So I don't think that you need a certification so that you have a piece of paper on the wall to impress people. You need a certification so that you feel good about coaching, so that you feel confident about coaching, so you can talk to people about what it is that you can do for them. That's what you need mastery around.